Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Wednesday, the 22nd of December, 2021. It is a Wednesday of the fourth and final week of Advent. It is also 3 days till Christmas Day. Coming to you this morning from, again, the parking lot where, as you can see, blue sky has returned. It is returning to Carolina after all the rains, much needed rains that we needed yesterday. Not as cool as it was the past couple of days. This morning, it's going to warm up to somewhere in the 50s, and then it's going to be like 70 on Christmas Day. But still, it is Christmas and it is approaching, and you can taste it and feel it here at St. Francis. Today, as we make our way ever closer to Christmas Day, our O Antiphon for evening prayer at Liturgy of the Hours is O King of the Nations, the desire of every human heart, the one who brings joy to every heart. Again, this understanding of who Christ is, someone who brings joy, not judgment, not condemnation, not recompense or retribution or whatever it is for what it is that we have done, but someone who brings joy, period. And again, another characteristic, another great sign of the sense that this whole entire season is a season of joy, expectant joy, wondrous joy, joy that is yet to unfold within our midst. We leave penance to Lent. We leave penance to that time of the year. In this time, in this season of Advent, the great joy of wonder of a God who says, I need to be a part of your life, is what is first and foremost and forefront in our minds. And so children are born. Children of promise are born in Scripture. And today we hear about Samuel. Now again, not Samuel's birth necessarily, but the fact that he has been born. And Hannah brings him to Eli the priest at the temple in Shiloh, one of the other temples. There were many temples other than Jerusalem in the Old Testament. But Eli accepts Samuel, and Samuel will become the great prophet who will recognize David as king of Israel. The thing is that when Hannah was praying for a son, Eli thought she was drunk because Eli was an idiot. But Hannah goes to him and says, remember when I was praying here and I wanted a son and you thought I was drunk? Well, look at what God gave me, and now I give him back to God. Again, this wonderful kind of statement, again, by a woman in Scripture, by Hannah, again, trying to prove the inability of men to see more brightly and more powerfully, more clearly the work of God in our midst. Again, this season in many ways of women, the season in which women are first and foremost in our faith, in our church, are placed first and foremost in our faith, in our church, in Judaism, in Christianity, is something to be recognized. With that is matched the Magnificat in Luke's Gospel. Again, this great statement, not just of praise of God, but what is that God will do. Again, coming from the mouth of a young woman, perhaps 14, perhaps 16, but again, speaking of tremendous radical change that would frighten the powerful, change that would frighten those who are in authority, change that would frighten those who are in control. Get rid of this woman, and yet they can't. Because God's will speaks through her mouth, of raising up the lowly, of sending the rich empty away, of giving food to the hungry, of changing the course of human history. This is what Mary proclaims in the Magnificat. It is not for the weak of heart. It is not for those, who have a sort of mamby-pamby kind of God or mamby-pamby kind of religion, where if I just stick to myself and keep with my own little devotions and things like that, everything will be fine and well, because it isn't. And this is what Mary brings. This is what Mary offers in this great statement, which is in response to Elizabeth's greeting that says, you believed that what the Lord promised would be fulfilled. And Mary expresses what that promise is. May that promise be true always for all of us, that God's will and God's wisdom and God's might and God's power be visited upon those who are most in need of it, and allow those who are most in need of God's presence and of God's peace and of God's love to find enrichment, fulfillment in their lives, and a new life in store for them in our future. May the Lord give you his peace.